Discover the incredible truth: the office intern bullied for 6 months was the CEO's hidden wife. Emma took a deep breath, the gleaming skyscraper looming above her like a dragon waiting to strike. As she stepped through the revolving doors, her heart raced, pumping a familiar cocktail of anxiety and desperation. This wasn't just any internship, it was her shot at the American dream, her chance to rise above the label of mechanic's daughter and prove her worth. But beneath her youthful demeanor, nerves twisted like a knot in her stomach. For 6 long months, she had endured the unyielding cruelty from her peers, the dismissive remarks and the cruel jokes. Each day felt like she was fighting a battle just to exist. But Emma wasn't just any intern. She was the estranged wife of Tom, the very CEO of this firm. Their marriage crumbled under the weight of expectations and class disparity, yet here she was, trying her best to juggle her studies and an internship while haunted by the whispers of her past. The memory of Tom felt like fire on her skin, stirring a mix of longing and heartache. Every time they passed each other in the hall, a ghost of their love flickered between them, but this office was filled with sharp stares and laughter that cut through her like a knife. "Hey, look! It's the intern!" One of her colleagues sneered, barely masking the laughter that followed. Emma lowered her head, trying to blend into the beige walls. The pain was excruciating, but she pushed through, drawing strength from her upbringing. Working hard, being resilient, that was what her parents taught her. But deep down, she longed for camaraderie, a connection beyond the cruel jokes. As if in a cruel twist of fate, the company was hit by a sudden crisis. A critical project was unraveling, sending the office into a frenzy of panic. Colleagues who once mocked her now turned their desperate eyes toward Emma's team. All those petty grievances were forced to the sidelines as the stakes rose. It became clear that the toxic culture they fostered was about to be challenged, and suddenly the air felt electric with urgency. In a packed meeting room, tension hung thick. Emma felt like a butterfly pinned to a board, but it was now or never. She had enough of hiding. With every ounce of courage she could muster, she stood up to face her tormentors. Just as she opened her mouth to speak, her heart thundered in her chest. "I need you to listen," her voice trembled, cutting through the chatter. At that moment, the door swung open and in walked Tom, his presence igniting the room. Confusion washed over the faces surrounding her, the whispers dissipating into startled silence. Would he support her, or would the walls that once held their love seal her fate as an outsider? Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Emma's voice broke the heavy silence once more. "I'm not just an intern. I'm Tom's wife." The words hung in the air like a lighted fuse, ready to ignite a chain reaction of realization. Would her colleagues finally see her as more than a mere footnote? Would Tom reclaim the love they once had, or would the tears of frustration and humiliation transform into a valley too wide to cross? The moment trembled with uncertainty, leaving everyone hanging in the delicate balance between judgment and understanding, as the past clawed for recognition in the present. What would it take for them to see the beauty in their differences? The shock waves of Emma's revelation rippled through the room. Murmurs began to break the silence, a mix of disbelief and curiosity. Tom, taken aback, visibly struggled to process the weight of her words. He locked eyes with Emma, and a rush of emotions coursed through him. Recognition, guilt, and something else, something raw and aching. "Is this true?" one of her colleagues finally asked, breaking the tension. Emma felt the heat of 100 gazes aimed at her, each one demanding an answer, a story. Could she find the strength to recount their past? A part of her wanted to run, to hide away from the judgment, but she stood firm, summoning the courage that had kept her going through the months of bullying. "Yes," Emma replied, her voice steadier now, fueled by desperation. I'm Tom's wife. We were married before this internship began. I thought maybe coming here would heal some of the wounds between us. But instead, I've felt so isolated, like I'm in a shadow. The room fell silent again, the wheel of understanding turning slowly as her colleagues began to put the pieces together. They had thought her weak, they had thought she was just an intern unworthy of their respect. The truth threatened to shatter their perspective. Tom stepped forward, the authoritative CEO melting away, revealing a man who had loved Emma fiercely once. I didn't want anyone to know, Emma. I thought I was protecting you, he said, his voice low and husky. But you've been through so much because of my mistakes. I'm sorry for not being there for you. A wave of mixed emotions crashed over Emma. She wanted to shout, to cry, to hug him tightly. But her heart was tangled in resentment too. You think this is protection? You kept me a secret. She could feel the bitterness bubbling inside her. She had fought so hard to forge an identity apart from his name, and yet now, it felt like she was thrust back into the shadows of his life. Tom's expression softened. I know I can't change the past, but I want to be here for you now. I want to support you, not just as your husband, but as a partner. Can we start over? The team's eyes darted between them like spectators at a dramatic play, captivated by the emotional torrent unfolding before them. Emma's anger clashed with the remnants of her love, creating a storm inside her. She wanted to be free, but was there still a way forward together? Seriously? You think that's enough? Emma replied, her voice barely a whisper. You think just because you say you want to support me, all the pain just disappears? I've spent months feeling belittled, alone, and now you're trying to fix everything with a few words. Tom opened his mouth, but Emma held up a hand, cutting him off. She needed time, space to figure out the labyrinth of feelings twisting in her heart. Ignoring the weight of the atmosphere, she turned to her colleagues, feeling the eyes of judgment shift. You wanted a reason to belittle me? You got it. But this doesn't define me. I won't let it. Determination surged through her, and she straightened her back defiantly. This wasn't just about them anymore. It was about carving out a space for herself in a world that had tried to silence her. As she stepped forward, looking each of her colleagues in the eye, a flicker of approval began to emerge. Maybe they could see her true self for the first time. Maybe they could change. But then a voice called out, shaking the steely resolve she'd built. What happens if you don't forgive him? What if you both walk away? Is that the end of your story? Panic fluttered in her chest. What would she choose? She turned towards Tom, whose eyes mirrored her uncertain future, and whispered, What do we do now? All options loomed ahead, but the path was shrouded in fog. Would they find a way back to each other, or would this be the defining fracture that split them apart for good? Emma's heart raced as she tried to catch her breath. The tension hung in the air like a thick fog, each second stretching on unbearably. She felt stripped bare before her colleagues, exposed in ways she never expected. This wasn't just about Tom anymore, it was about choosing her own identity. While the whispers continued around her, Emma realized the voices buzzing in the background were likely revering the dramatic twist they had just witnessed. The lens of their perception would never be the same, but this new chapter had a darker tone, a weight they hadn't considered. And suddenly, she stepped back from feeling like a victim. I don't need your pity, she said sharply to the crowd, her eyes blazing. What I need is to find my own way. I won't let my past determine my future. Tom took a step closer, his presence both comforting and overwhelming. Emma, if you need space, I respect that. But I want to help. We can work through this, together. But could they? Emma's mind raced through the months of struggles, all the hurt, the bullying, the isolation she endured from her peers. They looked at her differently now, transformed from skeptical interns to witnesses of dark secrets. Yet, the specter of who she had been loomed large. Could the person she had become coexist with the woman who had built her life around Tom's shadow? Together? How can we be together when you've kept me hidden? She asked, the vulnerability creeping back into her voice, torn between anger and longing. Please, just let me explain. Tom reached for her hand hesitantly, but she pulled away, the rejection laced with lost trust. Explain what? How you played the role of the perfect husband while letting me fight my battles alone. Letting me take on their whispers. Each word struck with precision, a verbal sword slicing through the confusion that wrapped around her heart. The silence in the room pressed down on them. Emma could feel judgment from her colleagues, but now mixed with something else, sympathy. She caught the eye of one intern, a quiet girl who had once smiled at her but said nothing in support during her toughest days. There it was, the hint of understanding in the girl's gaze. It's not just about you and me, Tom. Emma turned away from him, addressing the group, her voice gaining strength. It's about what we want to become. You see someone chasing a lost love, but I see a person awakened to her truth. You see a husband trying to protect his wife, but I see a woman trying to reclaim herself. A few heads nodded in agreement. Emma felt strength fill her chest, as though her declaration brought light to a previously darkened path. Do you want me to forgive you? She asked Tom, her breathing growing heavy. Because right now, I don't know if I can. He looked crushed, yet resolute. I'll do anything for your forgiveness, Emma. But it has to be on your terms. I'll wait, as long as you need. His voice wavered, revealing vulnerability. The room remained still, a collage of broken hearts and hopes. Emma wasn't sure if she could be that forgiving wife Tom wished for. She stepped back again and steadied herself. Perhaps they could mend the fracture between them, but it would require vulnerability from Tom and a leap of faith from her. Maybe it's time to find out if we can grow from our mistakes together, Emma finally whispered, the uncertainty still haunting her. She turned back to face her colleagues. And if any of you ever thought I was just the intern, I'm here to show you who I really am. My fight isn't over. An encouraging murmur passed through the group, affirming her resolve. Yet, as she worked through her emotions, she couldn't shake one thought: what if forgiveness was a journey neither of them would take together? Emma looked back at Tom, the question burning in her heart: could they truly transform as a couple, or was this the beginning of different paths? Are you ready for what's to come? She asked softly, uncertainty laced through the air as she prepared to take the next step, whatever that might be. Emma's heart still pounded in her chest as she tried to swallow the rush of emotions swirling inside. The murmurs from her colleagues felt distant now, as if ignoring Tom had enveloped her in a protective bubble. She took a deep breath, steadied her resolve, and locked her gaze on Tom's uncertain expression. He stood with his hands shoved deep in his pockets, the shadows of guilt dancing across his face. Ready, she repeated, the weight of that simple word lingering in the air. Could the two of them really be ready for whatever would come next? Tom's eyes searched hers, desperation evident. Emma, I know I messed up. I thought I was doing what was right for us. Right for us? Her voice rose, unsteady but charged. Doesn't that make this even worse? You thought you could decide what was best for me without even asking. The silence thundered as her words hung there. With trembling hands, she gestured toward their colleagues, who bore witness to their raw exchange. They've watched me struggle. I fought every day to prove I belonged here while you kept me hidden. You can't protect me from this anymore. Then help me understand, he pleaded, his voice cracking. What can I do to make this right? Emma wanted to scream, to unleash the frustration and disappointment she had bottled up for years. But instead, she felt a weird sense of calm settle over her. Maybe the healing had to start with honesty, a truth that had long been suppressed. I need to know who I am beyond just being Tom's wife, she replied, her tone softening. I need to explore my own strength, my own identity without feeling like I'm beneath your shadow. A flicker of hope passed through Tom's darkened features. Then let us find that together, he said, stepping closer. I want to support you, but I also need you to let me in. I can't promise perfection, but I will try my best. Emma hesitated. A part of her wanted to drop the armor she had built over the years, to lean into the fragile bond they shared. But insecurity gripped her. What if we fail? What if I've waited too long to find myself, and you end up drifting away? He caught her gaze again, the intensity unwavering. Then we fail together. But at least we tried. His words struck a chord deep inside her. The idea of failure no longer felt like a dark pit but a part of the journey, something she could embrace. Slowly, she reached out and took his hand. It felt foreign yet undeniably familiar. Okay, she whispered, the walls that had held her back slowly beginning to crumble. Around them, the atmosphere shifted. Colleagues who had once viewed her with pity now observed with awe, as if witnessing a personal revolution. Emma could almost feel their collective sigh of relief as they began to understand that this wasn't just about romance or betrayal. It was about redefining her presence in the world, about empowerment. But the flutter of hope mingled with shadows of doubt. Was she ready for the next step? Would Tom truly be there as they embarked on this rocky path ahead? She tightened her grip on his hand, ready to plunge into the unknown. Let us do this, she said, feeling a blend of anticipation and fear. As she prepared for the journey, the voices around them melded into a supportive chorus. She wondered if this was the first step toward real healing or just another moment of fleeting clarity. The first breath of fresh air was tantalizing, but beyond that lay the ominous storm that was change. Would they emerge stronger or forever altered? Before she could ponder further, another voice broke through the tension. Emma. It was the quiet intern, the one who had looked at her with sympathy moments before. Can I talk to you afterwards? I think you should hear what I have to say. Curiosity mixed with apprehension shot through her. Sure, Emma replied, her heart racing once more. What was this intern about to reveal? The future loomed ahead, ripe with possibilities and questions. Would she be ready for all of it? Emma took a deep breath and braced herself for what lay ahead. Emma felt the buzz of uncertainty clinging to the air as the intern approached, a hesitant look on her face. Somehow, the moment felt shrouded in more than just the individual pressure of her conversation with Tom. Every anxious heartbeat echoing against her ribcage caused her to question what new layer might be peeled back. The intern glanced around to see if anyone could overhear, then leaned in closer. I've been meaning to talk with you for weeks, she whispered, her voice a blend of urgency and restraint. I know this sounds strange, but you deserve to know. What do you mean? Emma asked, her heart nearly stopping. The weight of each word hung heavy in the air, suffusing the moment with suspense. It's about Tom. And, well, it's about me, the intern confessed, her resolve visibly wavering. I saw the way things were between you two, but I think there's more to it than you realize. Emma's breath hitched. It hardly mattered what the intern was about to say, the reality behind the confidence she felt when she was with Tom started to feel paper thin again. Just tell me, Emma said. What are you trying to say? There's something I need to reveal. The intern took a shaky breath. I know you may not believe this, but I was his intern for a reason. He hired me because, well, I wasn't just a regular intern. I'm actually related to the firm. Emma felt her world tilt as her mind attempted to reconcile the implications of the statement. Related? What do you mean? The intern leaned in a fraction more, her voice barely a whisper. I'm his cousin. I think you should know that he has a lot of pressure on him, more than you think. Somehow, he got it into his head that he had to keep you safe and protected from the inner workings of the company. Emma's heart raced with conflicting emotions. Shock was stealing through her, battling against the small flicker of understanding she felt toward Tom. Was this why he had treated her with such care? Why he kept her out of the spotlight? The intern continued, urgency growing in her tone. I've seen how he works, Emma. I've seen what he is capable of. You don't know everything, and I could see how he struggled to keep you afloat. You might think he was acting out of selfishness, but I believe it was out of fear of what the truth might mean for both of you and the company. A knot twisted tighter in Emma's stomach. This was all too much to process. The truth she craved began to feel just out of reach. But how did you? I didn't want to bring this up because it could change everything between you two, but I think you have a right to know. The intern looked straight into Emma's eyes, seeking understanding. He truly cares for you. You two were on this crash course with different destinations, and I'm worried about you both. Taking a step back, Emma fought to absorb the weight of this revelation. The tenderness she felt for Tom battled fiercely against the deception layered beneath it. She had always wanted to understand him, and now, with this fresh insight, she could feel the distortions of their relationship creeping back. But there was no time to unravel things in her head. I need to talk to Tom, she whispered, urgency coursing through her. She turned to move away, but the intern grabbed her wrist gently. Just remember, she said softly, you have more strength than you know. Whatever happens next, it's your decision how to navigate forward. Emma nodded, determination gathering in her chest. She needed to confront Tom, yet the 1,000 questions spun like a whirlwind in her mind. Did he really believe he could shield her from all of this? As she walked away, she felt a new weight in her heart. The blossoming hope she had held onto felt clouded by uncertainty. Would she find clarity or lose herself amid the chaos unleashed? Emma approached Tom, her mind racing with everything she had just learned. She was on the precipice of a decision, about to break open a door that could change everything. Would this lead to a breakdown or a breakthrough? And as she opened her mouth to speak, she knew in her gut that this moment might just redefine what she thought she knew about love and loyalty. Would the truth bring them closer or drive them apart? Just as she was about to voice her thoughts, her phone buzzed in her pocket, interrupting the fragile air around them. An unknown number flashed on the screen, a sense of foreboding pulling at her. What now? Emma hesitated, the tension in the air thickening as she contemplated whether to answer it or focus on the man before her who held both her heart and her doubts. What revelation awaited her on the other end? Emma stared at her phone, the screen lighting up with that unknown number like a beacon of anxiety. The moment stretched, her heart racing as she weighed her options. A simple choice, yet it felt monumental. Would she dive into the mystery behind the call or dive into the tangle of emotions with Tom? She glanced at him. Tom's expression was a mixture of confusion and concern. Emma, is everything okay? He asked, the worry in his voice wrapping around her like a comforting embrace. It was a reminder of why she was here, to confront him, to seek clarity. But now, everything felt tangled and complicated. Just a second, she mumbled, turning her back to him and swiping the screen to answer, pulling the noise of the office around her like a shield. Hello. A pause lingered on the line, then a low voice broke through, filled with a gravity that sent chills down her spine. Is this Emma? You need to listen to me carefully. Her stomach nodded. Who is this? She stammered, heart thumping violently. It's someone who knows Tom better than he knows himself. I can help you understand what is really happening. Emma felt the blood drain from her face. What do you mean? There's a price to pay for knowledge. But I promise, it will all make sense soon. The voice was steady, unsettlingly calm. You're in the eye of the storm where personal loyalty and professional peril collide. You may think you know Tom, but there's so much he hasn't been honest about enough. Emma exclaimed, the coloration of shock and anger sweeping over her. Why should I believe you? I need to talk to Tom. Because you're running out of time. Answers are coming, whether you want them or not. The line went dead. Emma stood motionless, the weight of the voice nestling itself deep within her awareness. A whirlwind of emotions churned: fear, anger, and an uncanny anticipation swirled inside her. She turned slowly, her heartbeat still racing, to find Tom watching her with piercing eyes, a mix of curiosity and concern evident on his face. What was that about? he asked, stepping closer, his voice warm yet guarded. I don't know, she confessed, her thoughts tumbling chaotically around her mind. But I think I need to know more. About you. Is this about the intern? Tom pressed gently. Emma took a deep breath, choosing her words with care. It's more than that. It's about us. We need to talk about everything, the pressure, the secrets. His brow furrowed, but he nodded. Yes, let us talk. I promise to be honest. She held out her hand, her pulse quickening. A paradox of trusting him while feeling still adrift in uncertainty. She needed him, yet she was scared of what he might say. As he took her hand, a spark ignited the air between them, filling it with unresolved tension and an electric promise of revelation. The path ahead felt like thick fog, shrouded in the unknown. Well, what if there is something you're not ready to hear? Tom asked, his voice grave yet soft, stirring a sense of urgency. Staring into his eyes, Emma felt the gravity of the moment as her heart thudded louder. Whatever it is, we'll face it together. Okay, he replied, uncertainty flickering in his gaze. But there are things I need to tell you. Crucial things. Just promise me you'll listen until the end. Deal. Her pulse raced at his words. Whatever was unfolding, she felt she had to discover the truth before it all unraveled. With every fiber of her being, Emma knew they were moving towards something monumental. But before they could dive deeper into the swirling chaos of secrets and lies, she spotted the intern out of the corner of her eye. She looked anxious and determined, as if she wanted to say something to Emma. Wait, Emma said, feeling a swift instinct. I think we need to hear her out too. There might be more to uncover. Tom's eyes seemed to widen with concern, while the intern took a tentative step closer, hesitating. Emma's heart thudded loudly, she sensed they stood on the brink of a revelation that might shatter everything. Are you ready for what's next? She whispered, uncertain, yet feeling the edges of hope start to defrost beneath the weight of their secrets. As the intern approached, Emma felt the air cool. What truth loomed on the horizon, and would it bring the healing they all needed, or rupture the fragile bond they'd built? The intern took a deep breath, the kind that seemed to gather the courage from deep within her. Emma's heart raced as she noticed the flicker of determination in her eyes. It felt like the room charged with an electric anticipation, as if everyone could sense that one little word could change everything. Emma, Tom, the intern began, her voice trembling slightly but resolute, I know things. Things that I shouldn't have to say. But you need to hear them. Her eyes darted between them as a new wave of anxiety washed over her. Just say it, Emma urged, each word almost spilling from her lips with a mix of impatience and desperation. It was now or never. The intern swallowed hard, her composure wavering but still intact. I've been working here for a while, and I've seen things you might not know about Tom. I've overheard conversations, things that could put both of you in danger. Tom stiffened, and the warmth of his hand in Emma's suddenly felt cold. What do you mean? He asked, his tone now caught somewhere between irritation and vulnerability. Someone's been watching you, both of you. There are people who want to know what you're planning, Tom. The tension in the air was palpable. Emma felt the heaviness settle deep in her stomach, the weight of truth pressing against her ribs. Who? Why would they care? The intern hesitated, her eyes shimmering with fear. Because of what you're working on, the project. It's bigger than you think. It's not just an office merger. It connects to something much more dangerous, and personal. Don't play games with us, Tom said sharply, but Emma saw the worry etched on his face. She squeezed his hand a little tighter. I wouldn't. I just found out that my father is involved. He's been, her voice cracked, the words threatening to flee. He's been doing things behind the scenes. Illegal things. And I didn't know until just recently. I thought I was safe, but I'm being dragged into this mess with you too. Emma felt the land beneath her shift. What does this have to do with us? The intern finally stepped forward, dropping her gaze, swallowing hard. Because I think your lives are in jeopardy too. I've seen who has been following you. They've been in the shadows, waiting for the right moment. I think they're trying to sabotage your project and hurt you. The room hung in a heavy silence, with only the ticking of the clock echoing their racing hearts. Emma's breath hitched in her throat. We need to go to the police. Or should we call security? Tom shook his head, his brows knitting together. No, we can't. That could get us into more trouble. We need to protect ourselves, but I don't know how. Emma searched Tom's expression, feeling the gravity of the moment. Caution warred with urgency, and she knew they were standing on the precipice of something monumental. We need to gather the information first. If we're going to confront anything, we need proof. The intern nodded. I can help. I know where to look. Tom's reluctance was evident, but he took a breath, glancing at Emma. It will put you at risk too. I'm already at risk, she quipped, her voice strengthening. And if it will protect you both, I want to help. Emma felt the strange camaraderie blossoming in that moment, an unspoken bond forming amidst the chaos. But all the while, doubt gnawed at her insides. Was this a setup? Was the intern truly there to help, or was she the wild card that could tip the balance into darkness? We're running out of time, the intern insisted, her urgency spilling over like water from a cup on the verge of tipping. We need to act now, while we can still protect each other. Facing Tom, Emma noticed doubt on his face too. These tangled webs of secrets were starting to fray at their edges. Would uncovering the truth bring them closer together, or would it tear them apart even more? The safety of their world felt fragile, like a paper shield against an impending storm. She took a moment to collect her thoughts, knowing that going forward meant diving into the very depths of uncertainty. Okay, let us do this, Emma said, the determination in her voice filling the space. And with that, they turned toward the unknown, an ominous darkness looming over them. What truths awaited them? Would they be ready to face whatever lay ahead? As they moved deeper into the tangled web, Emma felt that something even more explosive than they anticipated was just beyond the next corner, waiting to unravel everything. The three of them moved quickly through the dimly lit hallways of the office. The only sound filling the space was the soft echo of their hurried footsteps. Emma's heart raced, not just from the urgency of their situation but from the looming threat that shadowed them. Where are we even going? Tom's voice broke through the tension. His eyes were wide with anxiety, mirroring Emma's unease. They couldn't afford to waste a moment. To the basement archives, the intern said breathlessly. That's where they keep sensitive documents, things they don't want anyone to find. If my father's been involved, there may be leads there. Emma felt a mix of emotions wash over her. Trust was a hard thing to come by in moments like this. And you're sure this is safe? She asked. What if someone sees us? We'll be quick, the intern replied, her determination unwavering. We can't let fear hold us back. This is our only shot. She led them down a narrow staircase that creaked under their weight. The air became cooler and the faint smell of dust filled their nostrils. As they reached the basement, the fluorescent lights flickered overhead, casting eerie shadows on the walls. Emma's pulse quickened as they entered the cramped room. Shelves lined the walls, overflowing with boxes filled with files, some stacked haphazardly. Show me what to look for, she urged, tearing her eyes from the stacks of forgotten paperwork. The files about the merger. Anything related to my father, the intern said, excitement tense in her voice. They started searching through the boxes, each minute intense with anticipation. Emma couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched. Shadows of doubt began to creep into her mind. What if the intern had ulterior motives? What if they walked straight into a trap? Here, I found something. Tom yelled, pulling a file from a dusty box. He flipped through the pages, revealing charts and figures that made Emma's head spin. What is it? Emma leaned closer, her heart pounding in rhythm with her racing thoughts. Contracts, proposals, and look, their essay name, here. Davidson. That's my father's name. The intern stepped forward, her brows knitted tightly. What does it say? Tom's eyes flickered across the pages, confusion etching deeper into his features. It looks like he has been coordinating with someone else. Someone high up. Suddenly, the sound of a door creaking open echoed through the silence. Emma froze, adrenaline spiking as they exchanged frantic glances. Every sense heightened, her heart raced as footsteps drew nearer. Hide! She whispered harshly, and within an instant, they scurried behind the overstuffed boxes. The intruder's footsteps grew louder, and fear pooled in Emma's stomach. What if it's them? She thought, her heart thrumming against her ribcage. Stay quiet, Tom murmured, his breath brushing against her ear. The intern was pressed close to their side, their bodies wedged tight together in the cramped darkness. Emma felt the heat of their fear radiate around her like a living thing. As the footsteps approached, she dared to peek out from behind the box. There, standing against the harsh light spilling into the room, was a silhouette. It was a figure dressed in a dark trench coat, their expression obscured. What are they doing here? Emma whispered, dread creeping into her thoughts. Just then, the figure turned slightly, revealing a glimpse of familiar features. Emma's breath caught in her throat. No. It can't be, she breathed. The intern's eyes widened in recognition. That's him. It's my father. The walls of the room felt like they were closing in. What was he doing here? And was he already aware of their search? In that split second, everything hung in the balance. Emma felt the weight of the world pressing down on her. They were no longer just looking for answers, they had stepped into a deadly game. Would they uncover the truth behind all the lies and deception, or were they about to plunge deeper into danger? The shadows seemed to close in, and as all hope seemed to wane, Emma knew that they were closer to unraveling a web that might just consume them whole. What other secrets would come to light, and who would they have to confront to get to the bottom of this? The air was thick with tension. Emma remained frozen, her heart pounding. The sight of the intern's father brought a mix of fear and urgency pulsing through her veins. What did he know? Did he have any idea they were hiding in the shadows? Keep still, she whispered through clenched teeth, pushing herself deeper into the folds of the box they were hiding behind. The intern peered out, her face pale as she caught sight of her father's inscrutable expression. It was like he almost sensed their presence, an instinct honed by years of navigating the murky waters of corporate politics. Tom held his breath, eyes wide. What is he doing here? We need to know. Emma nodded, but her mind raced. They weren't just observers, they were players in this high-stakes game. She felt a resolve building inside her, one that refused to let them back down now. I can't just sit here, the intern whispered, determination flashing behind her fear. If he is involved in this, I have to know why. Just then, the man began speaking, his voice low but intense. They're getting too close, he said sharply, casting a wary glance around the room. If they find out what? The intern muttered to herself, but Emma could hear the tremor in her voice. The father continued, and if we don't shut it down, it will all blow up in our faces. You need to handle it, now. Handle what? Emma's mind raced with possibilities. Whatever it was, it sounded serious. If it concerned her father, it must involve more than just business. Tom nudged Emma, signaling for her to look again. The intern's father pulled out a phone, glancing at the screen. We need to move fast. I won't let them ruin everything we've worked for, he continued, his voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper. Emma felt her pulse quicken with each word. They were on the verge of something crucial, a breakthrough that could shatter the foundations of everything they believed. As the man turned again, she glimpsed the icy determination in his eyes. He was dangerous. Whatever it is, we can't let him leave, she said, her breath hitching. He's hiding something, and we need to pull the pieces together now. Suddenly, the intern shifted, stepping away from the boxes. Dad! She called out, her voice breaking the stillness like glass shattering. The melding of fear and fury filled her tone. Emma shot her a warning look, but it was too late. The father whirled around, eyes darting between them. What are you doing here? He demanded, the cold authority in his voice sending chills down Emma's spine. Tell me the truth. The intern yelled back, her determination palpable. All of it. I deserve to know what you're involved in. In that moment, the tension erupted, filling the dusty basement with a heavy, electric charge. What are we doing? Tom hissed at Emma as they pulled back from the confrontation unfolding in front of them. We need to get out of sight, Emma replied, scanning the room. Her heart raced, but beneath the surface, she felt something else. This wasn't just an interrogation of a father, it was the start of a reckoning, a confrontation wrapped in betrayal and fear woven into familial bonds. But as she took a step back, the floorboard creaked beneath her foot. The father's gaze snapped toward their hiding place, eyes wide with realization. Intruders! He shouted. Emma's heart dropped. Their cover blown. The hunt was on, and they were the prey. Run! She screamed, adrenaline exploding within her. They had to escape and discover the hidden truths that would shake everything to its core. Would they find a way out, or would this confrontation lead to more dangerous revelations than they ever imagined? As the urgent footsteps echoed, the basement became not just a hiding place but a battleground of truths waiting to be unveiled. Emma and Tom darted down an unseen corridor, with the intern trailing behind them. Every footstep seemed to pound like a war drum against the chilling backdrop of uncertainty. This was at the terrifying moment where their lives would irrevocably change. Go left! Emma shouted, pointing toward a half-open door. They stumbled into another storage room, filled with forgotten furniture and old office supplies. Tom pulled the door closed, holding his breath as the sound of footsteps rushed past their hiding spot. What now? The intern panted, urgency etched across her face. Emma felt the weight of their shared fear and resolve. Do you have a plan? Tom asked, his voice low, barely more than a whisper. I don't know, but we need to gather the evidence. We can't let your father get away with this, Emma replied, desperation fueling her determination. He's hiding more than we realize. Whatever he's doing, it's dangerous. The intern nodded, her expression resolute but conflicted. I need to confront him, but I don't know how he's going to react. He's unpredictable. There's only one way to find out, Emma said, glancing at Tom. Are you ready for this? Tom met her gaze, the vulnerability in his eyes offering a glimpse into the man, beyond the CEO. I'm with you, he replied firmly. With renewed courage, Emma led them out of the storage room. The office ahead was quieter now, the atmosphere thick with tension. They crept toward the main corridor but paused as voices echoed from the adjacent room. Why weren't you watching them? A voice hissed. It was the intern's father. Emma felt a rush of fear. He was close, and they had to act fast. I'm sorry. Another voice replied, sounding panicked. I didn't think they'd find out so soon. What matters is they did, the father snapped, frustration boiling over. We cannot let them interfere with our plans. They need to be dealt with. Emma exchanged fearful glances with Tom and the intern. We have to do something. The intern said, her voice trembling slightly. If he's planning to silence us, we can't let that happen. Then it's time to expose him, Emma whispered, a plan hatching in her mind. We need to create a diversion. Tom's brow furrowed, but before he could question her, Emma gestured to a nearby office with its door ajar. Let us go. They dashed into the room, scanning for supplies. Emma spotted a box of loose paper clips. Perfect, she murmured, grabbing them. When I give the signal, we throw this across the hallway to create a noise, drawing him out. Tom quickly grabbed a paperweight, and the intern found a stack of sticky notes. They huddled close, praying their plan would work. On 3, Emma whispered, her heart racing. 1, 2, 3. They hurled their makeshift projectiles across the corridor. The shiny clinking of metal and paper scattering filled the air, accompanied by the sound of startled gasps. Go, go, go. Emma shouted, leading them back into the hallway where the chaos had just unfolded. Through the door, the intern's father rushed out, fury etched on his face and confusion in his eyes as he searched for the source of the disturbance. Now! Emma urged, and they slipped past him into the office they had just vacated. Now, they were quickening their steps toward the outer offices while glancing back to ensure they weren't followed. Emma's heart raced, fully aware of the risks, but something in her felt liberated. They reached the exit leading to the stairwell when the intern turned to her, panic in her voice. What if he knows? What if we can't expose him? Emma felt the heat of urgency flooding back. We will. We just need to get the evidence first. In the stairwell, they raced down, determination fueling their much-needed escape. What do we even look for? Tom asked, frustration creeping into his tone as each step felt heavier. Any files that mention the merger, deals with unknown entities, financial data, anything that highlights foul play. The intern nodded. If my father knows we're onto him, it could get ugly. Emma felt a flicker of doubt but squashed it down. No, we can't turn back. The adrenaline surged through her veins as they reached the basement again. Let us go back. Maybe we'll find something we missed. They arrived at the stacked boxes again, every corner in disarray. Emma quickly began helping her friends sift through every document, heart racing as hope flared amidst the chaos. Tom sorted through the folders, desperation blending with determination, until his hand froze over a particular filing. Emma! Look! He said, pulling out a thick, weathered folder. With trembling hands, Emma took it and opened it wide. It's all here, she said, her voice a mix of disbelief and excitement. Schemes, contracts, even a list of names far more than they had anticipated. Suddenly, footsteps echoed again, closer this time. We've got company. The intern whispered fiercely, glancing at the stairs. Quick! We need to get out. Emma frantically scanned the folder, anxiety flooding her heart, but in that moment, they were betraying danger around the corner. We need to confront him. This is the proof we need. Tom hardened in his resolve. They had what it took to put an end to the deception. Yes, Emma agreed, we can't be scared anymore. So, they stood united, ready to confront what lurked in the shadows, grasping not just for their safety, but for the truth and finally stepping into the light. Together, Emma whispered, resolve igniting within her. They were ready to face whatever darkness lay ahead. As they prepared for the confrontation, little did they know the battleground they were about to enter would not only define their futures but shatter the very fabric of deceit that had clung to them like a shroud. Would they be victorious or fall into despair, entangled in a web of malice that surpassed even their worst fears? Only their courage would direct the course of their destiny. Emma's heart thudded with the uncertainty yet lit with hope. They were ready to face the storm together. And so, the unraveling began.